Oh, hey everybody. Welcome to This Week in NFL Tier Maker. And I just got to say, Douglas, I had a horrible dream last Sunday night that the Cowboys lost really badly against the Bills.
Unfortunately, not a dream. Still,
What?
this
That
is this
that
is the world we live in. We'll get to that game later, but I just have to say I was finally disappointed in the Bills game, and I wasn't disappointed with the Bills. So fantastic.
I'm just saying this hurts me. This is reality. This is
This
not
is
a dream.
reality. In Fantasyland, though, congratulations on your big playoff win.
Yeah, I smoked on my friend right here. Now I got to play my other person. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes in this one.
I'm
But
rooting for you. I want to see you in Phoenix.
all right, let's go to Phoenix. But I will say we should start the fun thing. We got our sliders right here on the tier maker,
Let's go.
week 15. So like I said from last week, usually we talk about what is the tier maker. Like I said, one is trash teams. Season's over. To be honest with you, there's no more trash teams in this one. Two, there are going to be a couple twos right here. We'll see how we're going to feel about this one.
hmm
Three is mostly you can beat up bad teams. Four is the mid, very mid. Is that what all the Zoomers say these days? And five is a football house versus / worst division.
Yep.
And then I will say number six, you're making the playoffs, but you're not going to win a playoff game. Sorry, Vikings, you're a six. Spoiler.
Spoil.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Spoiler. Seven is you're going to win a playoff game. Like my boys, who's going to win a playoff game and then win a Super Bowl. Just saying.
Okay. Mm,
Just saying. I'm going to give them a 10
mm,
this week, even though they
okay.
lost.
All right. The system has no integrity, but okay.
Hey, how dare you? I have integrity to this tier maker.
All right, I'm in. Let's do it.
Alrighty. Now, we got we'll eliminate the Carolina Panthers and the New England Patriots, the first two eliminated teams. But we got to start off with our eulogies, Douglas. We got to get the roses ready. We got some sad news. We got 4 teams we got to eulogize this week.
Man, oh man, what a catastrophic week it was.
Yes, finally, we got rid of some teams. We were like, it's like that old Monty Python skit where it's like, bring out your dad! Bring out your dad! And now this week, it's time to bring out the dead.
Let's do it.
And unfortunately, we got to start with the JETX, Jets, who have been an absolute disaster this season. I mean, what was your thoughts? I mean, preseason,
Well,
I guess. Oh,
oh, sorry. No, my first thought though, we gave them a 3 last week because they had that really nice looking win, and then 3 to your season's over. What a crazy turn of events.
yes, that is crazy. They went from like okay a 3, and then you're done, and you just lost badly to against a Dolphins team.
It's like that episode of South Park. All right, I would like to invest in the stock market, please, and your money's gone.
What?
Have
What?
you never seen that?
Oh, I was doing a joke on that. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. My
Wait, what?
apologies.
You ruined the joke. How dare you ruin this joke on this A-level
I'm
podcast?
sorry. I did not vibe match.
You did not vibe. You ruined the damn vibe on this one, but it's okay. First of all, so preseason, I gave him the 6, and my opinion was on preseason on the Jets was we'll see how Aaron Rodgers does. I felt like the Jets were a lot more better, but I was still skeptical even with Aaron Rodgers as the QB.
Yeah.
I was still a little bit nervous on what was going to happen. But oh
Well,
boy,
I think for your point too, Rogers' numbers weren't as good last year. He's getting late 30s, so I think your skepticism was fair.
yeah, and I always kind of felt like, and I think number 2 was the reason was they had to play against the Bills, the Dolphins. They had a tougher division. This wasn't like Brady. In my opinion, when I was doing preseason, this wasn't like Brady when he went to Tampa Bay and it was like, okay, you maybe got the Saints and that's it. I mean,
Yeah.
everyone else just looked like fraudulence. But unfortunately, 4 snaps, including his Achilles, ended the Jets season.
Yeah.
Now, and then they just looked really bad. They had like a good midpoint, but I just kind of felt like they just kind of stumbled and fell. And this has been a bad year. Zach Wilson's not been good. Tim Boyles, oh God, that hit that.
What a disappointment when you go from expecting Aaron Rodgers to having Tim Boyle start a game.
And the crazy part is they had what was it, the HBO show, Hard Knocks. They had Hard Knocks on for the Jets this season.
Oh yeah, that was fun. I watched that.
That was really good. I actually did like Aaron Rodgers on Hard Knocks, and Zach Wilson did look nice and was likable. But I think the Hard Knocks curse happened. Baby. I think we've been 0 for 2 on the hard teams that's not going to make the playoffs.
Well, what a shame for New York. They went from, they just extended the streak, I think, of the 4 major sports. Nobody's missed the playoffs more than the New York Jets. Eliminated for the 13th straight season.
Oh, yeah. Was it been the last time? Was it like 20? When's the last time the Jets made it to the playoffs? It had been like 2010.
Yeah, I think it was 2010. Like, they made those 2 AFC championship games and things were cool. And now they've made the playoffs for 13 years.
I'm going to look it up. Last time Jets made the playoff. Yeah, 2010 was the last time. Yeah, because that was the Rex Ryan years, and he had Mark Sanchez as a QB. And then a butt fumble happened, and then the next 10 years, and then you had Ryan Fitzpatrick's contract at one point. Man, the Jets have just been an absolute tire fire. And it's a shame because they had an amazing defense this season. Mm-hmm. And it was just, and honestly, the offensive line was the problem. This is why Rodgers got hurt. This is why Zach Wilson couldn't throw. It's the offensive line.
Could you imagine if the Jets somehow hit on like a CJ Stroud? Like how exciting this team would be?
Oh my God. Yeah. But to be fair, like I don't think they would have. I don't think CJ Stroud would have been good. Because like you have a bad own line.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how good his one is in Houston. Maybe it's not much better, but you just got to imagine if he had his old Ohio State buddy there, Garrett Wilson, to throw to. Like he's putting up numbers with Nico Collins and Noah Brown. Like having CJ throw to Garrett Wilson, that would have been a great combo for sure.
I think it's a great combo, but it's such a shame because it's like, I think, and I will always argue this, like I think it's almost been since Thanksgiving. If there's just 2 plays that represents the Jets season, it's that interception where they got the ball from the Dolphins, and then they throw a Hail Mary to lose a 96-yard pick 6.
Yeah.
That represents 2023's Jets season. So, All right, RIP to the Jets season. Now bring out our second dead, the Tennessee Titans. Ooh, yeah. I really didn't have any expectations high. I mean, granted, they kind of did a little bit worse, but what's your thoughts on the Titans?
That's kind of funny. Back-to-back 3s, 2 eliminated. Because both these teams coming off of big wins, like just 2 weeks ago, they both lost this week, right? The Jets lost pretty good. I think the Titans lost as well.
Yeah, the Titans, unfortunately, they lost to Houston like by overtime. So that literally went from, they literally came from like a incredible win against the Dolphins to losing to the Texans, and now they're out. Unfortunately, I just never really thought, I mean, to be honest with you, I never really was impressed with the Titans. I know they didn't make the playoffs last year, but I kind of felt like this was kind of like their down year, and I'm not surprised, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, it was nice because they used to have Derrick Henry to back out there to like get them out of their bad quarterback play. But like even Derrick Henry's just not really effective anymore. I don't know if he's just like lost his step or if it's just like, I don't know what the issue is, but like he has just never looked all that scary this year. You kind of know he's going to rush for like 30 yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like you used to like just fear him so much and be waiting for him to rush for an 80-yard touchdown and break 5 tackles. But like now he's kind of getting hit in the backfield and going down.
Yeah, I feel like, like I said, Derrick Henry used to be really good. I mean, there was King Henry like those last few years, even though he got hurt and then he came back and everyone was like kind of fearing, and it kind of stinks and how like, and I think they already benched their QB already, so it's like I definitely feel like that they're looking for a new QB at this point.
Well, yeah, they benched Tannehill. Like they think Levis might be a guy to build around. So I think is he a rookie this year?
So he's been in the league. So he's born in '99. So I'm assuming.
Yeah, so about 24, so like rookie, maybe second year.
Yeah, I guess we'll see how Will Levis does, but I'm just like, yeah, Lockett ain't got nothing. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't
I'm
think
going
he
to
has.
be slightly distracted here because it looks like we got a close Michigan-Florida basketball game.
Woohoo!
So we'll just keep the sound in the background. Sorry,
We'll
but
see
yeah,
how.
the Tennessee, like they never really instilled fear. Like they obviously had that really fun last 4 minutes of the game against the Dolphins. But if we're really watching that game, it was like 3.75 quarters of mediocrity to 4 minutes of just all of a sudden Will Levis balled out. It was just
Yeah,
like super like it's not like they dominated, like they were down 2 touchdowns with 4 minutes to go. So it's like, they're not a dominant team like they used to be. They're not physically imposing. Like they're in a rebuild. They're gonna need to rebuild the whole thing.
and I think the curse was why they lost this game.
Hmm.
They wear their uniform was the Houston Oilers uniform. I
Yeah.
knew it. Screw you, Bud Adams. You curse this team, and anytime, look at that. Oh, you know what? Even more, it would be more infuriating if you're a Houston fan. They played against Houston wearing the Oilers uniform. They can't even wear the Oilers uniform.
Oh yeah, that was weird. Why did they wear them against Houston?
Yeah, like I just feel like because I always say like everyone in I will always this is gonna be a long tangent. Everyone in Houston hates Bud Adams, who's the Oilers owner, and then basically moved them to Tennessee. Basically,
Yeah.
like they think of him as Snake. I mean, granted, if you're a Houstonian, you're like, thank God this guy's dead. I can piss on his grave.
I think I've learned from you over the years. You really, really dislike when teams move.
I
You
do. I
you
do.
absolutely hate it for the fans and for everything.
I do hate it because I feel like they're just being slimy backstabbers, I think, in that point. And I think it's usually either that situation or, in my opinion, like, oh, I'm a billionaire and I need the city to pay for my new stadium that's going to be obsolete in 20 years and
Yeah.
not have it in my own pocket. Like,
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's pretty infuriating that they want all these cuts, but then none of the money or revenue or profit is going back into the city. It's all going back into the owner's pockets. So it's just a very, very, very confusing system. Oh my goodness.
what happened?
Michigan just tied the game at 81.
Oh,
They just had a sweet dunk to, let's see, Florida's about to shoot their last shot. Oh, he swatted him.
oh, I might have.
Oh, what
I
a, did
might
they call a
have to,
foul?
I know
I
in
didn't know if they
this
called a foul.
I know in this a level podcast. Is that on ESPN by up chance?
Yeah, it is actually. It's on Watch
Okay,
ESPN.
don't
All
worry.
right, sorry Tennessee. My Wolverines. Man, the first dude missed the shot, and then this dude just did a putback dunk to tie it. That was sweet.
Oh yeah, I might have to put on the. I put on mute also, so I might put the game on there.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Your
So
camera froze, by the way. I don't know if it's frozen on your end too.
let me check. Let me check. Oh, it's not frozen on my end.
Oh, it's weird. Okay, might be on my end. My
But
little top. Yeah, it's okay.
I'm still not frozen.
Perfect.
Don't worry.
I mean, going back to this, I don't think that I have anything else to say about the Titans. Like, you're going into a rebuild. Like, it's going to be a long 3 or 4 years. You know, stick in there. Hopefully, the future's bright, but this window is closed.
Yeah, I think this window is closed, and like I said, it does stink because I think what was it? 2 years ago was probably their best chance of making it to like the Super Bowl, and they didn't even do that.
Is that when
Great.
they were a 1 seed?
Yeah, I think there was like the 1 seed. That was when Derrick Henry was out for a little bit, and they were still balling,
Yeah.
and they just choked in the postseason, and
Yeah.
that was their only shot. And I feel like that window, that door is now shut, closed, locked in there. Put some incinerator right now, and basically, Bud Adams is laughing in his Dante Inferno flames.
Yeah. No, I agree. That was the year to do it. And it's kind of stings for some of these, like, I'm going to call them smaller market teams. Like, we saw this, I think, in Jacksonville. We saw this in Tennessee, where it's like you have 1 year to really make a run. And if you don't, you're kind of rebuilding. And it's super unfortunate because, like, some of these markets just aren't going to build dynasties because their roster turnover is so much. But you try Tennessee, hopefully in 5 years, you can have another run at a 1 seed.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And then we say goodbye to the Tennessee Titans and say hello to your sad Cardinals, who
Yeah, I mean,
actually improved, even though they got eliminated early. I thought they were going to be a garbage team, but
I will say this: like, I like their coach. Like, I like some of what they're doing. Like, I feel like this is a team on the opposite trajectory of the Titans, where it's like the season's over, but with the Titans, we're kind of bummed. We know it's going to be a slow rebuild. The Cardinals are coming back, like, slowly but surely. They have some draft picks. If they somehow go get Marvin Harrison Jr. to team up with Kyler, watch out. Like, they might be a team to beat here in a couple of years.
yeah, and I feel like the Cardinals had like a couple weird, like bumpy wins, like random wins here and there. They did beat the Cowboys at one point in the early this
Yeah.
season. They, they had like they beat the Steelers at one point, but maybe that's more the Steelers is bad
Yeah.
instead of like
Oh.
how they were. But like I said, I mean, it's kind of surprising. I thought this team was going to be absolutely going to be out in the playoffs first. Like, I'm actually shocked that they're not out in the playoffs. I mean, granted, I'm not shocked that they're eliminated this early. It's not like I was thinking that they were going to make it to like, wow, this was not like Houston where I was like, their season was done and like, wow, this team is like going to the.
Putting somebody as a 1 in the preseason is just wild. Like, the season hasn't even started, and you're already saying your season's over.
Yeah, I literally thought their season was over. I thought they were going to win 2 games.
Oh man, but what a disrespectful number in the preseason. Like, I don't even need to see this team played. No, they're just donkey shit.
Yes, and let's be honest, you thought they were going to be donkey.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had no interest. I mean, I went to 1 game and it was fun, but like, Kyler was out with a torn ACL. Like, they just got rid of Hopkins. Like, they weren't doing anything.
Yeah, they already packed in the season last year. I figured they like gave up the season, and oh my goodness, this game's going to overtime. Oh my god!
Ew. Heck yeah, what a treat! Everybody gets to hear about this.
Yeah, the 5 people are all like, I don't care about basketball. I want you to talk about how crappy the Cardinals are.
Yeah. Well, Cardinals, I think the future's bright. Just, it's not your time yet. Let Kyler. I think build around Kyler. He's good. He's a good QB.
Yeah, though I do think they overpaid Kyler. I will say.
Oh yeah, I mean, and that's like the really hard part about the NFL right now. Is like, it's so hard to get like these QBs if you don't hit on them. But like the not quite elite guys are still getting huge paydays because they're pretty good, and it's really hard.
Oh my goodness! Funny fact. I guess Chad Pennington's son is the quarterback from Marshall. Fun fact.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
did
fun.
not realize that. Chad Pennington from the Jets, the only good quarterback between Broadway Joe and now.
Yeah, that's
My
pretty
God,
wild.
that's pretty wild. So unfortunately, Cardinals, your season is done. I'm not that surprised, but hey, it is what it is. It was not meant to be. And
No.
then we got another team. I'm totally not shocked that was eliminated. The Commanders.
Poor Commanders.
All right. What was your thoughts about this Commander season right now? They've been not that good.
Yeah, I mean, really nothing short of disappointment. Like, I don't remember a time that I was particularly excited about them this year. Like, looking back, even the 4 feels generous.
Yeah,
Preseason.
I don't know why I gave him the 4. I thought maybe they were gonna like improve. I think honestly, I might have given him the 4 because of Dan Snyder leaving the Commanders this season. Like Dan Snyder selling the team, and
Yeah.
I will always say this: like this season, you still have to pay for the sins of Dan Snyder, who has ruined the Commanders and the Washington Redskins since he's owned them since '99. Like they've never been. Like, it's crazy to think about it, Doug. I totally forgot that Washington and the Cowboys were rivals.
Well, because in the 90s, they were both really, really good, weren't they?
Yeah, like 92. I think they won the Super Bowl in 92, right? They won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They won a Super Bowl in 92. They won a Super Bowl in 87. That was the year the strike happened in 87.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I watched that Barry Sanders special, and they were talking about the Commanders being like heavy Super Bowl favorites and stuff. And then kind of like this Lions Cowboys rivalry that never really happened. But
Yeah, and it's so like infuriating. I mean, it is so infuriating because, like I said, Dan Snyder pretty much ruined this team. I will always argue this to my dying day. He is probably the worst NFL owner, probably of all time. Like, I will honestly who's
uh,
worse than Dan Snyder?
I'm not. I don't know any owners. I just love when you have a really intense hot takes too. That's all I'm chuckling
Yeah,
about. I
like
love how passionate you are about how terrible Dan Schneider is.
yes, he literally was the man that literally sued reporters because okay, I'm gonna go on my Dan Snyder rant. Literally, this is the
All
man.
this allegedly, right, Stu? All this allegedly.
No, this is court documents. No, this is
Oh, it's court documents. Okay, cool.
yes. He literally sued an 80-year-old lady during the '08 financial crisis because she reneged her ticket stubs.
Or like your season ticket pass.
Yeah, literally because in the trying times of like the housing market where people were losing their homes and we had high unemployment, Dan Snyder was like, I'm suing this lady.
What a guy.
And he sued reporters because he didn't like them telling the truth. Sorry, it was true.
Man.
But anyway, I guess we shouldn't talk because we are now past the Snyder era and now we're in the post Snyder. I mean, it will be interesting because, like, okay, Jack Del Rio got fired, right, this week?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, this is going to be a good question we should maybe ask. Should they promote Eric Bieniemy as Commander's head coach?
Well, they still have a coach.
I know they have an interim coach.
Well, don't they still have Ron Rivera?
Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
I don't think they've officially fired him yet.
But I think Ron Rivera is about to get fired soon.
I mean, yeah, he's on the hot seat for sure. I mean, like, yeah, let's see here.
How many?
Now you got me questioning myself.
I know Jack Del Rio got fired, and he was like the defensive coordinator.
I was saying, I think he was that's what I was gonna say. That was the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that if they do move on from Ron Rivera, that Eric Bieniemy would be a great replacement.
Yeah.
I think he's a guy you could potentially build something around.
No, this is a good question. Do you think Eric wants to get this job at the Commanders? Like,
I don't think he would have come over if he wasn't. Like, I mean, his goal was, I think, by moving to become a head coach. So I think if he gets the opportunity, I would assume he would accept it.
Yeah, and I will say, yeah, Rivera's been in there for about 3 years. I think, yeah, to be honest with you, yeah, it's been 4 seasons with Ron Rivera as the head coach. And he has not had a winning season at all, besides the 8-8-1 last season.
Yeah.
Like, I think I know that's probably he's on the hot seat. He's probably going to get fired after this season. Like, I think there's no point. You already had him for 4 years. You never had a winning record. You know, This is probably the final of the Dan Snyder fumes.
Yeah, it'd be nice just to kind of get a fresh set of everything in there and rebuild.
Yeah, I think this is the year they're going to have to rebuild. We'll see how it goes. Maybe Eric Bieniemy becomes a head coach. We'll see how it goes for next season. But we got to talk about some new teams. I'm sorry. This
So
we
that
got
should be in order.
yes, we got this in order right now. So
the new ranking is not updated yet. We will update it
yes, we will
as we
update.
kind of discuss.
Yes, as we discussed right here. So we got to talk about, since we now eulogize 4 other teams, we now got to talk about the people that are still in this game alive.
Mm-hmm. Do you know
So
what I would like a stat on? Like, I wish that we had like a stats department, but we're not quite there yet. If there's ever been a larger point differential from one week to the next for a football team, like
uh,
the Raiders went from scoring 0 points to 63 points in 4 days.
yes, like this is the
Like,
craziest. Like I watched this game a little bit, and I was just so confused. How did the Raiders score no points at home, mind you? This wasn't even at outside. It wasn't like it was bad weather. It wasn't like the one game when it was the Dolphins versus the Steelers game when it was raining all day and like no one scored a point until like the last minute.
mm-hmm.
That was indoors in air conditioning.
Yeah.
That is the worst. That was the ugliest game. And it's so funny because the lolcow guy, Urinating Tree, made the video on the greatest game talking about the Vikings Raiders game. And he uploaded it right when the Raiders are just destroying the Chargers 63-21.
That is pretty funny.
That is so funny. You go from that. We went from that pendulum swing. They literally improved on offense. And I looked at the stats, so I'm going to look it up. And I want to confirm stats right here. So they have scored. I'm trying to think. It took them. So they scored more. It took them 3 games. They scored more touchdowns than the last 4 games.
That's pretty amazing.
Yes,
Like,
they scored 16 on the Jets, 20 on the 13 on the Raiders, 17 on the Jets. So that is now 46 points. They scored in the last 4 games total.
Yeah, that's why the NFL doesn't make sense sometimes. As much logic as I try to apply to some of these, if you would have told me that the Raiders put up 63, I would have been like, dude, there's no way. I watched them against Minnesota do absolutely nothing.
And that was the worst football. And I think you wish you wouldn't watch Minnesota. You wish you had something else to do.
What a shame. What a shame.
Now, the craziest part is the Raiders are now 6-8. They're now 12. They still are not eliminated just yet.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe they're a 4 because they're kind of just like mid. Like, they kind of feel mid to me right now.
But the problem is, like, okay, you did score great against the Chargers. Congratulations. You beat the Chargers. This is not a good Raiders team. I don't feel like they should improve. I feel like when we get to like Broncos and Steelers, are they better than the Broncos and Steelers?
See, I don't know. Like, I think they could beat the Steelers right now.
Yeah, I mean they could beat the Steelers right now, but they have a worse record than the Steelers right now. I just feel like they're still a 3.
Yeah, I'm not gonna die on any hill fighting for the Raiders. I'll tell you that.
You're not gonna die on the hill telling me no, Stuart. They need to be a 4. They're mid, and I'm like, no. They just beat up on garbage team. They are the most great team I can think of is the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for right now we got to give them the 3 right now. So congratulations, Raiders. You're still mid. You only beat up on bad teams. And now we unfortunately we got to talk about these sad Chargers fans.
Every time we talk about the Chargers, I don't understand how they're not eliminated.
Yes, I'm still confused. You literally.
Oh my goodness.
Like, it's
Like
so
if
funny.
they're not, I think that this team has to be like a 1. Like
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Like, it's so funny because we literally were like pre-showing in this game. Me and you were trying to pre-show, and I was like, yeah, I was talking about this team, this team, this team, and then you're like, wait a minute, the Chargers are still in this. They're still in the playoffs chances.
Well, they have the same record as the Jets and the Titans, who are both eliminated. And that's the part like that I'm like, whatever. I guess based on tiebreakers, they could somehow still make it, but they have the same record as 2 teams that are already eliminated. Like I would feel I mean, Justin Herbert's out for the year. They just fired their coach. 1.
Oh, I would give them a 1, but I think I'm fair enough. Should we give them the 2? They're like a
I
5.
just made my case for a 1. Like,
Oh, I know, but
you
they're
want to give
not
them a
like
2? I think we're getting to that point of the season where we know that their season is all but done.
Yeah, I think they're like their season is almost all but done, but
Well, but because you also said to take into account like coaches getting fired, injuries, like because of that, I don't see how they're anything but a 1 because they just fired their coach.
oh my God,
Their franchise QB is out for the year. They fired their their defensive coordinator. Did they fire the defensive coordinator?
yeah, they fired the defensive coordinator, and it still makes me laugh that now.
They fired the general manager too. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, 3 games.
Yeah, like they are an absolute dumpster fire right now. Like they are just they're firing everybody, and everybody that's not fired is hurt.
It's so funny because I gave them a 6 of the preseason, and why did I give them a 6? I know that they made the play. Maybe I just thought they were going to make the play. I knew they were going to go down. I just didn't think it was going to be. I should have gave them like the 5.
Oh man, Michigan and Florida is about to go to a second OT.
Oh my God, they missed it. Oh, they missed the point. But anyway.
Oh man, what if Florida hits this buzzer beater? That'd be a bummer. Man, Michigan was up by 3 with. Oh, what a shot! All right, yeah. You left them at 2.
I think we should leave them at the 2. I think they're kind of in that Jets. Like I said, like the teams that have the same record right now, to be fair, are the Jets and the Tennessee Titans, who I feel like are 2 teams.
All right.
I mean, and I feel like the Chargers are basically in the. It doesn't really matter. They lose this week, they're going to be out. They win this week, they could blow out the next team. They could literally blow out.
That's why I want to give them a 1 because we know that they're eliminated next week no matter what happens.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like the colossal ones are for like you're going to get that number 1 overall pick. That's the only problem.
All right, no, I think you're losing your moxie here, Stu.
I'm sorry. I feel like we're at the point now where I'm sorry. I mean, when we get to the end of the season, we may discuss what do we give the Chargers. But I think for right now, they're at a 5% odds of making the playoffs, but they're not going to make it. So fortunately, they are 2. And now we got to talk about the second game right now. We got to talk about these Bengals. It is crazy without Joe Burrow. It is crazy to think. Like, I thought Joe Burrow goes out. I literally texted my family members because they're all disgruntled Bengals fans. They had to live through the Bungles era. They had to remember all of that bad stuff. And the Bengals have won 3 in a row. Is that right? Yeah. 1, 2, 3 games in a row without their QB. It is crazy to think that Jake Browning is balling out right now. Who would have thunk that?
Who would have thunk it?
And I never even heard of Jake Browning until after this starting right now. And he's just balling out on good teams, mind you.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty crazy. They even made it to the overtime and won the game.
Yeah, no, it's been a really good season, I'd say, for backup quarterbacks. Like, it kind of shows how thin sometimes that margin is, though. Because, like, to see Jake Browning, to see Drew Lock last night in Seattle, to see some of these backup guys, to see who started for Houston, to see Case Keenum go out and win a game for Houston, to see Gardner Minshew keep the Colts relevant. Like, what a year for the backup QB.
Yeah, this is like the hero.
Round of applause for the backups.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is like the year of like people like the starters getting injured, and this is the year of either your season is done, the Jets,
Yeah.
or it's like the Bengals where I'm like, if I literally would have told you after that Steelers game that the Bengals are gonna be in playoff contention, they are literally now the 6th seed, and they would play
Pretty
against
amazing
Kansas City.
turnaround.
So I just got to think now. We have to think about this, Douglas. Can they beat Cincinnati in the playoffs at Arrowhead?
I mean, I respectfully will say no. I mean, I think that that's the one thing that Joe Burrow swagger has that unfortunately they won't without him. Like, as much as the Chiefs are struggling, I still just don't see how a backup QB goes into Arrowhead and beats Mahomes in a playoff game.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think I do agree. Unfortunately, but you know what? Look at that. We agree. Let's give them the 6 because you know what? They get the respect right now. Bengals have been improving. And what did I say? Didn't I say you check the tape? Didn't I say put some Bengal stock? I did say Bengal stock.
I think we both said, yeah, I think we both said Bengals stock.
And look who is right. And we're both right. We got some investments right now. You got some good returns on those Bengal stocks right now. So
Money, money, money.
and now we got to talk about speaking of pathetic teams right now,
All right.
Minnesota Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
What another loss again. I mean, they did win against the Raiders, but still, I'm counting that as a loss. I'm sorry, Douglas. That was an embarrassment. The both teams should have lost that game last week.
Well, I mean, too bad it wasn't actually a loss because as of right now, they're still the 6th seed. So I mean, just based on that fact, I think they have to stay the 6.
I think so too. It's just kind of it's kind of frustrating because I personally, if I was, let's just say we're both NFL commissioners, and we got to pick who want to make the. Do you want a garbage Vikings team that's not been looking good and sloppily now and has already benched their quarterback, their backup already, Josh Dobbs, or would you rather have the Seattle Seahawks, who's been like balling out right now?
Well, I mean, they won one game out of the last 4. Let's not say balling out. Like they won a nice game against the Eagles, yes, but they are not balling out.
But what would you rather have if you wanted in the playoffs? Just not.
I mean, if I had to pick between all 4 of these 7-7 teams, easily the LA Rams.
Oh, so you pick the Ram. You want the Rammies to make it.
I think easily out of that group, like I would be scared as a Lions fan to play the Rams right now. But we're getting off topic. Let's rank the Vikings. They're 6 first. We go into these other games. The Rammies are the best out of the group. I think Seattle's the second best. I think you're right. I think Minnesota, that would be down there with Minnesota. New Orleans would be a coin flip for me.
Yeah, and I will be honest with you. I think the Vikings, they're not going to make the playoffs. If they're playing like this, you got to play against the Lions twice, and then you got to play against the Lions twice. Who do they got to play against besides the Lions twice?
They play the
Packers. That's not a good one. Yeah, that's not going to be. It's independent. If the Packers still have a shot of making the playoffs, like. Yeah.
So, I mean, they might, but like it's not looking too good.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, could they lose in the next 3 games?
Here's a crazy fact for you, though, Stu. Could you imagine a world in which we have 2 teams from the NFC South make it after all of our shit talk?
Oh my God. I know.
That would be something, wouldn't it?
That would be the most hilarious. That would be the in our face troll. That would be the ultimate troll. Like, as much as I've been dogging this NFC South and giving this NFC South like 0 points, like literally one of the NFC Souths last week, I gave them a 5. Like, to have 2 of the NFC South make it to the playoffs, I would be so confused. And I feel like it's like, I honestly feel like it's the Luigi does nothing meme, where literally Luigi did nothing and somehow 2 NFC South teams made it.
That'd be pretty wild. All right. Who do we got next?
All righty. We got to talk about the Colties beating out.
Man.
It wasn't even a close game against the Steelers. I believe it was 13 to 20, 13 to 30.
Yeah, wasn't all that good of a game.
Wasn't that good of a game? I mean,
man. Just like the NFC, I mean, this 6 through 9 seed in the AFC, like, holy guacamole.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the most fun, like, playoff races I can ever remember. Like, granted, I usually don't pay that as close of attention as this year, but, like, you got the Bengals without Joe Burrow who are balling. You got Gardner Minshew and the Colts balling. You got the CJ Stroud-less Houston Texans still winning. You got the Buffalo Bills who are the hottest team in the league again. It's unbelievable how close those 4 teams could be and how literally one game could go from a 6 seed to a 10 seed. The 9 seed.
Yeah, it is crazy to think. Who would have thought? I thought this Colts team was not going to make the playoffs. I gave them a 1 because I thought the whole Jonathan Taylor incident was like, him getting like injured for some reason in the preseason. And I remember the owner basically said running backs are a dime a dozen. I remember he made a comment about that. So now losing your starter and they're still good.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly.
And Jonathan Taylor's hurt again.
Oh God. So are you telling me you're reinvalidating what the owner said about running backs are a dime a dozen?
I mean, to some extent, he's not wrong. I mean, I think the Cowboys thought that getting Tony Pollard to play over Ezekiel Elliott was going to change something. Like, their production hasn't changed. Like, I don't know. I do think that, unfortunately, running backs are – I think in college they're more important. Like, in the NFL, like, all these guys are so close athletically that, like, you can't really justify overpaying one versus another, I don't think.
Yeah, I think you kind of agree. But like I said, I think we can both agree. Now, this is a good question. Will the 7th seed, because the 7th seed has never, since the 17 has started, will the 7th seed ever win a playoff game? Because they would playing against the Dolphins. Can the Colts beat the Dolphins?
I mean, they could, but I don't think they would.
Yeah.
Like, they still feel like a 6 to me. I mean, that's just a game that I don't see where the Colts would realistically win.
Yeah, I just don't think the Colts are going to win that one. I'm sorry. I think they're. I mean, the Dolphins have been struggling, but like I said, well, except for this Jets game, but that's because the Jets are garbage. Sorry, but I don't think they're going to beat the Colts. But this is actually kind of funny because I think we're going to keep the same score right now. Wouldn't you agree? Keeping the same score with the Steelers at a 4.
Yeah.
What a disappointment.
They still feel super mid, that's for sure.
Like, literally, you have Kenny. Okay, so you literally. So Kenny Pickett is Kenny Pickett out for this week also?
I think there's a chance he's back.
You're definitely not going to have Trubisky if he's out. Like, you're definitely not having Trubisky's career is pretty much he's just going to be a backup for the rest of his. He's never going to be a starter.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, he has not been a good. He has not been. He had maybe one good year with the Chicago Bears, and that was it. And now he's just garbage. And this game proved it. And it's kind of funny because I feel like it will be interesting because under Tomlin, Steelers fans have always been like, wow. And this is from like Strong Opinion Sports, my podcast I listen to. Well, and he talked about it. Well, the Steelers have never had a losing season, so that means we have a good coach. And da 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 da. I kind of wonder. There's a part of me that wants to have the Steelers have a losing season and see what they're going to do.
Yeah. No, I mean, I would love for them to have a losing season. Sorry, this Michigan game's getting close, but it looks like Florida's going to win it.
Yeah, I think Florida got this one, but I just feel like for me,
what a bummer.
But also, but I'm feeling like for the Steelers team, I'm sorry, back to the Steelers. I feel like there's still 4. They're not going to make the playoffs. I was right. I feel like we are vindicated right now. They have 3 straight losses in a row, and it's not been good teams. Like I said, they did lose the Colts badly, but you lost to the Steelers, you lost to the Cardinals. 2 teams are already eliminated in the playoffs already, and you lost to them.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good.
It's not good. Like, I mean, this is kind of the team that I thought we'd see more of the year. Like, I thought they were overachieving pretty intensely there for a minute.
Yeah, and I think you're right. They did overachieve, and now they don't have Kenny Pickett. I guess what do you do?
I'm sitting there watching them, and I'm like, this team should not be winning games.
Yes, like I'm at least.
So,
I mean, like I said, and okay, we're back to the question we had last week when you talked about Tomlin. Should they still keep Tomlin after the end of this season?
I don't know. Like, I've gone back and forth. Like, I feel like it'd be nice just to have a restart. Like, I feel like we've kind of seen what Tomlin has become, and like it's pretty much a middle of the pack. Like you said, it kind of feels like where the Red Wings were in hockey about 5-6 years back, where it's like they were making the playoffs, but like they never made a run. You knew they weren't going to win the like Stanley Cup, in this case the Super Bowl. It's like, are we just keeping this together? Just like, and are we really going to be content with just being maybe a playoff contender? Like, we're in a city that wants championships, and like to do that, they kind of got to just, I think, tear it down and rebuild it.
And I think it sucks because I feel like the Steelers fans, and maybe like, and I can understand that like some of the Steelers fans were all like, "Well, we had a winning season, so that's good enough." I don't think that's good enough at this point. If you're just being 8-8 or 9-8, that's not good. That's mid.
No,
You know,
I mean, we've seen how that plays out in places like Dallas, like all those 8-8 years. Then eventually they get tired of it. Like, just simply being close is not good enough. And these and these like places that won a lot of Super Bowls.
yeah. And I
You
think,
got to actually win a couple playoff games.
I feel like in my heart of hearts, I don't think they will fire Tomlin because, like I said, Steelers have a history of never firing their coaches. You know, I mean, they keep their coaches for a really long time since the Chuck Noll era.
Mm-hmm.
They never really like to get rid of them, but I guess we'll see how it goes. I bet you they won't, but we'll see. I feel like I think they need to have a losing season and then like let's just restart everything. I think this is probably the best wake up call, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So anyway, we're now going to talk about the Detroit Lions. Last week we gave them the 7. How are you feeling as a Lions fan about them Detroit Lions butt whooping them Broncos?
I feel a lot better about the Lions than I did a week ago. You know, they had their whole offensive line in there finally, and Gibbs looks as good as we hoped he would. Like, I feel really excited about the Lions right now. Like, I was kind of wavering there when they were struggling, and like I was kind of waiting for them to wake up, and this felt like they're like, all right, like let's actually kick this into gear now. And so I was really excited just to see like a complete game performance. Defense looked solid. Offense finally clicked. It was just really nice to see against a pretty solid Broncos team. Like, I mean, they still feel like a 7 to me. Like, they're right there. Like, I mean, I do at this point think that they could beat the Eagles or the Cowboys. Do I think that they will? Not necessarily. So like, I wouldn't necessarily pick them in a game. But we'll find out a lot on in 11 days when we get the Detroit Lions playing at Dallas. That'll be a huge game to kind of see which team is better, I think. Are you there still?
It did that again, didn't it?
Just for that last bit, yeah.
Uh,
This team just feels like a solid 7 to me.
I honestly I feel like the last couple weeks, I felt like the Detroit Lions felt like this is the Patricia Lions the last couple weeks. And now I
Mhm.
feel like we're back to the Dan Campbell era of the Lions. They look a lot better. This definitely does make me think this is probably a top 5 team right now.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's where I started to get excited about this team too. Is like, it just felt like this is what they should be. Like, once you start to get to meaningful games and you see your team start to struggle, it's kind of like how I used to feel about Michigan, where it's like, cool, we beat, Ball State and Indiana, whatever. But like, as soon as we get to like late October, November, we're gonna start to lose. Like, that was the kind of the feeling that was creeping into these Lions. So to see them then be able to just like kick it into gear in a December game, big weight off, big weight off my heart right here. It
I
was
know.
beautiful to see.
And it wasn't even like a close game. They dominated 42-17. That's like, I think this is the second most, if we don't count the Raiders game, this is the most points in NFL this week. So it's really good. Like, I really do feel a lot good. I do love Dan Campbell. Now it'll be interesting. Should we put Dan Campbell as coach of the year? If you had to put it most improved.
I mean, he should be in there. Like, I'd say he's in the top 3 or 4 vote getters personally.
Like, who would you put as a coach of the year, actually, off chance?
I mean, there's still a lot of the season to be played. I mean, I would look at the 49ers coach. I mean, I would honestly look at Mike
Okay.
McCarthy.
Yeah.
What? I would look at I like what Mike McCarthy's done. Like, he's kind of gotten Dak to an MVP level. I like what Dan Campbell's done. I like what Mike McDaniel and John Harbaugh have done.
I would also put the Houston coach maybe in the coach of the year just because of an improvement. You know what I mean?
See, and that's what the vote is. Like, I read something on this earlier where it's basically turned into the team that overachieves from preseason expectations the most. And so, the Houston coach, especially without CJ Stroud, they're still finding a way to win. That's really exciting. I mean, shoot, like, here's an off the wall one. What about Sean McVay?
Oh, that's a good one. Honestly, granted, they did look bad, but still, I feel like that's a really good most. And I'm sorry, Florida just won, but I feel like that I would. Yeah, that's a good one because honestly, I feel like Sean McVay's been a good head coach, and maybe like honestly, he actually changed my expectations. He like preseason, I always thought he was a good head coach. Mid-year season, I was like, man, he's a terrible head coach. And then now, right now, he went back to now. I feel like he's a good head coach.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, he's really doing a nice job. And, like, if they make the playoffs, like, man, like, they just almost beat the Ravens at Baltimore. Something that the Lions weren't even close to doing. The Seahawks weren't even close to doing. Like, that Ravens team is awesome. And, LA played with them and probably should have won that game.
Mm-hmm.
So, sorry, we're way off topic. Lions are still 7.
Yeah, I still think I'm going to give them the 7 for right now. Like I said, we're not going to change the score. I think they're still a 7. They've been really good right now. I honestly think that they're probably a good 7 team right now.
Yeah.
Now, I guess we should talk about, unfortunately, Broncos. They did not have a good game right now. They looked really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Russell Wilson only got 1 TD right now in that game, and just and he does not like.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not the same Russell Wilson that we got used to in Seattle. That's for sure.
Yeah, and granted, I don't. This is why it's kind of weird for the Broncos because it's like I did feel like even though last year they kind of had like a bad season and they were kind of a tire fire, and let's ride and Patrick Starr basically making fun of him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I felt like, and that's why I gave preseason, I gave him the 5 because I felt like, okay, maybe if we got Sean McVay now, this would be the better Broncos now.
You're talking about Sean Payton, right?
I'm sorry, Sean Payton. Sorry, not Sean McVay. Sean McVay's the Rams head coach. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm not as elite of my NFL knowledge. Sorry.
Oh, no need to apologize. I just wanted to make sure we had the right guy.
Yes.
Um,
But
yeah,
and like I said,
I
they
mean,
really
I'll still give them props though because like they gave up 70 to the Dolphins and like they responded. They made the season respectable. Like there's at least a reason to have optimism going forward. So like they're one game out of the playoffs. Like they still, I mean, they're borderline 4 or 5 for me. I'm kind of okay going either way.
I mean, that's a good question. That's a good question. I mean, they did get their butts whooped, and that's the only thing. And there are 11th, so they're below the Steelers right now.
Yeah, I mean, 4 is fair. Like
I
kind of a
think that,
bummer because they were close, but not quite ready yet.
yeah, I think I'm gonna give them the 4 just because they got their butts whooped by the Lions. I mean, like I said, like it's not good. I mean, granted, I think Detroit's a better team than the Broncos, but it's not good to like your big like competition, and you just lay an egg like really that badly.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and it's not like and I think they're still not in. It's not like Dallas or like the Eagles where they have so many wins right now. They can kind of have a couple like egg losses and they're still going to make the playoffs. Like Broncos had a huge disadvantage and they need to come back. Like they need to came back from a deficit and this one is not really helping them. So we shall see how it goes. I mean, we'll see how Broncos. I don't think this team's going to make the playoffs, in my opinion.
No, I mean they're little fun runs over, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's fun. Sorry, Broncos fans, but you're not making no playoffs.
We're not making very good time today, are we? That was just the end of the Saturday games.
Yes, we got that.
Golly, this is a
I,
slow episode.
I know I talk too much. That's fine. I love talking. But at least we only got to talk about one team this week. We only got to talk about the Dolphins. So the Dolphins, they won their game decisively against the Jets, 30-0 right now. Douglas, we only have to talk about one team since one team's had a shot in the playoffs. What's your thoughts about the Dolphins?
Oh man, I am another borderline one for me because when they play like this, I think that they'll make the conference championship. So much for me is going to come down to when they play Buffalo again, because like that's my hesitation on giving them because they still play. Their last 3 games are brutal.
Yo, God, you got to play against the Cowboys, Ravens, and the Bills. That's
like what a ridiculous end of the season there. Like how exciting for football fans, but my goodness, those are 3 playoff games. You know,
and this is like a make or break, and they still have not clinched the playoffs. I mean, granted, I think the Dolphins have clinched the playoffs, but this is going to be a tough one, I would say, for the Dolphins. Now, this is a good question. So I do think the Dolphins are going to beat the Colts. Are they going to make the NFC Championship?
AFC, I don't know. And like, I mean, if I had to pick now, I would say yes. But like, I would say give them an 8 because like they feel like one of the 2 best teams in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like it's been them versus Baltimore. So the fact that they play Baltimore in week 17 or whatever is brutal. But like I would pick them to make the AFC championship with how well they've played.
And mind you, both teams are probably not going to set out most of their players because they still need to clinch that because they're one game behind Baltimore to get the number 1 seed.
Oh yeah. Nobody's resting players in this season, I don't think. Like
no,
it's just simply too close. Except for maybe the 49ers, depending on tiebreaker scenarios.
Yeah, it is crazy to think like who do you is this the most we have non-rest players that's not like out of the playoffs right now? I'm not going to count the Tennessee Jets or New England or all the teams that are out. Like isn't it crazy to think that's the most?
Like the most depth almost, like we're
yeah.
Well, I mean, there's so many teams that are still so close and this playoff race are so tight. I mean, I could see if Baltimore beats San Francisco and then the Dolphins, I think they might rest their starters like that week 18. But because I mean, then they will have the best. I don't know. Not important. We're speculating. I mean, what do you think? Do you give them an 8 or a 7?
I think this is a tough one because, like I said, because the only problem that I'm like hesitant on that 8, they laid that bad egg against the Tennessee Titans, and I know we shouldn't look at like how the performance was last week, but I do think we have to also. That's why it's like a tough torn. I'm like, I think they're the 8, but then they lay an egg on a garbage team that just got eliminated last week. And they gave.
I mean, if you look at their other 3 games, though, they've won 2 games by 30 points and the other one by 21.
Yeah.
And they were up by 14 on Tennessee with 4 minutes to go. You know, like they feel more like an 8 to me because like they've been pretty dominant except for 4 bad minutes of football.
And I think that's the only thing that's hurting is those 4 bad minutes of football. But I think you know what, you convinced me right now. They are the 8, but like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if they
I'll
go.
say at this moment they're an 8. If they lose, like if they lose 2 or 3 of these last games, possibly a 7 or a 6, like they have a lot on the line these last 3 games.
Yeah. So we will see how it goes with these Dolphins. They're not the Dolphins now. They're now the Dolphins. Speaking of better teams right now, we only have to talk about one this week. Houston won in overtime.
Man, like what a year for the backups. Like I think we were talking about running backs earlier, and we've already talked about backups. But my goodness, man, like I think this proves that backups are well worth the money. When you have these backups that can come in and keep your playoff hopes alive, like what a luxury that is.
Yeah, and honestly, the Texans have done. I mean, it's crazy. And also, I think I was watching ESPN while I was watching the basketball game. CJ Stroud's going to be out next week also, so you still need Case Keenum right now for next week against the Brownies.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a big time game.
And that's another big time game. I mean, granted, they squeaked. They did kind of play a little bit bad against the Titans, but they won it. So that's at least a good. That's a one. They sort of had a bad game, but they won the game. You know what I mean? Like this wasn't like the Dolphins last week where they had a bad game and lost to a bad team. Like I feel like at least Houston like overcame that bad obstacle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I mean, here's my thing though. Is like they still are outside the playoffs right now.
They're the 8th seed right now.
It was a nice win, but like looking at the other teams, like I don't know they're gonna make it. I mean, they play the Browns and they play at Indianapolis to end the season, which could be for the division title.
Yeah,
like that's pretty tough. I mean,
and you're probably going to have the Browns to lose, and you're probably going to have the Colts collapse a little bit also.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I feel like, unfortunately, as nice of a season as they're having, I still feel like they're a 5 for me. Like, I mean, they're still technically outside the playoffs, and like their end of season's a little bit tough, and CJ Stroud's out. And, like, I don't think that they'll necessarily jump any of the teams that actually make the playoffs.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do agree myself. I just don't think that. I mean, I think we're going to keep them with the 5. I like the Houston Texans, but I do feel like I might give them like a 35% odds right now of them making the playoffs.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would love CJ Stroud to make the playoffs, but I just kind of feel like, and it's going to be a tough hill to battle right now. So we'll see how it goes from there. But I'm just not. We will see how it goes. Now we're going to talk about 2 teams. We're now done with 1 teams. Now we're going to talk about 2 teams. The Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Against the Packers. Really good. Baker had a good game.
Baker balled. Baker really balled.
I am so and now Baker is in this. Is now. I mean, Tampa's now still in the division lead.
Mm-hmm.
They looked really good. It was 34-20 against the Green Bay Packers. How do you feel, Douglas, about Baker Mayfield and these Buccaneers right now?
I mean, I feel like I want to bump them up to a 6. That's the first thing.
I'm thinking the same, Douglas. I'm sorry. I'm thinking the same way. I think they got an even record. They're pretty much same as like all these other teams that are in the wild card. Hear me out.
I think the script writers here were having a little bit of fun because I think they wanted us to all change our perspective on the NFC South.
Yeah. I mean, after 3 weeks, I bet you. Are you telling me the NFL script writers will listen to this podcast that we're talking about?
I mean, I hope that they are because, man, oh man, there's so many fun storylines to take. Like this is like feels like Game of Thrones right here.
Yes.
But I mean, I would say the Buccaneers are a 6. I mean, we've said that we thought they were probably the best team in the South. They just beat the Packers. So, and it was in Lambeau Field.
Lambeau Field. I'm sorry.
Lambeau.
Don't you mean
They
Lambeau?
they lamboozled them.
They bamboozled them in Lambeau Field, and it's crazy to think, like that's. And I even though the Packers are not the best Packers, to beat them at Lambeau, and let's put it this way: a warm team, Florida team, to go in the cold in December, to beat them at Lambeau.
Mm-hmm. That was a season-defining victory.
Yeah, this is definitely the second most impressive, besides that one year when Tom Brady beat them at Lambeau for the NFC playoffs, NFC championship. So
let's give them their 6. Well done.
I think there's 6. Granted, that we should probably ask, can they beat the Eagles?
I mean, the way the Eagles have looked the last 3 weeks, they could.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being like a realist. Like I thought the NFC South was going to be like, and you know me, if you've been listening, I've been saying like this team put Saints, Falcons, Vikings, not Vikings, Falcons, Buccaneers. It doesn't matter. These 4, like they're going to get killed by either Dallas or Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm kind of like thinking the Buccaneers. Can Baker get a win? Can the Bucs get it? Like, I'm just saying. I thought this team was going to be bad preseason without Brady.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're looking a lot better. So I honestly feel like I think they're a solid 6 right now. If they win and look a lot better, and let's just say Philly is just like losing to bad teams, because like I said, they have the easy schedule the next week when we talk about them. But I think I might put them at a 6 right now. So good for you, Philly. I mean, not for Philly, Buccaneers. Bad for you, Philly. But we got to talk about the Packers. Unfortunately, the Cheeseheads had a terrible game.
Yeah.
What do you think about these Packers? They're now at the 11th seed right now. They are pushed out of the playoff contention. How are you feeling about these Packers?
Like, this might be dramatic, but I am very tempted. I think I want to drop them from a 6 to a 4.
Wow. Okay. That's a good point. So I want to hear your opinion before my opinion also.
Well, because I mean, last week they were still in the playoffs, like if the season ended, and like we thought, like they had just come off of a big win over the Chiefs, like maybe some emotional letdown. But now that Giants loss is more looking, for one, it's looking worse after the Giants just put up their dub this weekend. And you just got beat by, you lost 2 in a row. Now the loss to the Giants doesn't feel fluky. You're sitting there at what, 12th, I think, 11th?
Yeah, you're 11th. And now this is going to be tough. I mean, they got an easy schedule now. The Packers only have to play against the Panthers, Vikings, and Bears.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good schedule, but like, I mean, it'd be a good schedule for like a team that's a 7 or an 8, but for a team that's like not that good, like that's maybe 1 or 2 wins. Like they'll probably lose. They'll lose at least one of those games, I think.
Yeah, I just don't feel.
I mean, best case they somehow went out and they're 9 and 8.
Yeah,
like,
and that's not good. If it's like a 9 and 8, this feels like that one year when like Ben Roethlisberger's final year, and the Steelers made the playoffs. But it's like, why are we like this team's about to get killed? Like Big Ben's not good. Like he's about to get like killed, and they got killed by the Packers really badly. Not the Packers. Kansas City, like really badly. So it's like, I feel like I don't feel confident with them. I kind of agree. I do agree with you. I think we got to give them the 4 because you got 2 really bad losses right there. And you lost to a team that's even below you. That's like has like a worse record now. Like this is not good. This is not good for the Packers. I feel like this team is not going to make the playoffs. I'm going to give them like maybe like a 15% odds. And you got to win out, and you got to hope that the next four teams that are above you just like collapse.
Yeah.
And that's not good odds right now. You don't, like I said, it's not good playoff odds. It's not good sign when your team's like, well, all right, we better hope that we win out. And then if other teams like collapse, then that gives us a chance to make the playoffs. And no, you should be in like the San Francisco spot. You should be in the Dallas spot or the Philly
I
spot.
think that's what every team wants.
Yeah, that's what every team
That's-
wants. That's the best position. Because it's like, for
Well-
me as a Cowboys fan, I'm like,
Wow, guys, on this insightful podcast, man, it's really good to be the best team.
yes. It's like, it's good to be a best. I mean, it's damn to be
Wow.
a good thing right now. I know.
Do
Look
you
at
think
that.
it's like the worst to be like a really bad team?
I think honestly, I think it's probably worse to be a team that's just like you have the shot in the playoffs and you just collapse.
So you
I
think
think
the Packers are in a worse spot than like the Arizona Cardinals?
Yes, because I think everyone like look what I gave the Cardinals like preseason. I gave them a 1. I don't have any expectation.
No. Nope. I think I lost you, Stu. Hello. Hello. Is there a Stu out there? If you can hear me.
What is happening? Because my mic just messed up. Because we're too much amateurs.
Hey, this is just the learning time. So sorry for anybody that watches us learn like this. But I think I feel like we're getting slightly funnier. Granted, we're
Yeah.
taking a lot longer, but like there's some good content here to discuss as each week we'll have less and less teams to discuss too. So it'll only get quicker,
Oh
more
my god!
efficient from
You know,
here.
the funniest thing is, I thought this time was gonna get quicker, and now the time got longer.
Yeah, like this is definitely not the quickest. Like I think Cal wanted us to go faster, and we've slowed her down, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm like I'm a potty mouth and also a loud mouth. So
Oh my goodness, I'm looking at how many games we still have to talk about. We got to get going here.
I know.
We're like halfway done, and it's over an hour.
I know. I just love talking. Now we got to talk about another good game. The Saints destroyed the Giants, and also we'll have to talk about the bad news. But let's start with the good news with the Saints demolishing the Giants 24-16. How are you feeling about these Saints right now?
I mean, I don't know. Like, they're still sitting at the 9 seed. Like, I know it sounds weird, but I still want to leave them as a 4 because like it's like beating the Giants doesn't say much. And like, do I think that they'll still make the playoffs? Not particularly. I mean, this week they go to the Rams on Thursday night. That'll be a huge game for playoffs. Like, I don't see them beating the Rams in LA. And then they play the Buccaneers. But that's in Tampa. Like, I don't see them winning either of those games.
No,
Like, I think that they had a fun win, but I realistically don't think they'll make the playoffs personally.
I don't think they're going to win those next 2 games, and I think they're going to be pretty much done. Like, I think honestly we should probably keep them at the 4. I mean, the Saints. I think, like I said, my expectations still been low. I still don't think Derek Carr is like that great of a QB right now. I think he's like replacement level mediocre at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't think. I mean, I will be honest with you. I kind of felt like this trade to get Derek Carr, I felt like it was like, oh, we just need a QB and then we're going to win the Super Bowl. And I was like, I don't think Derek Carr is like Brady. He ain't Rodgers. He ain't Brady. He ain't Stafford. He's Derek Carr.
No, that's the thing. Like, me and my dad talked about it not too long ago. My dad was saying how much he liked him. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just never was impressed.
No.
I was never like, gosh, I really want Derek Carr. I'm like, he is nice. Like, I feel like him and Stafford were pretty equal until Stafford got to LA. So like maybe that's why people like thought that he could do it, but no. I agree. I didn't really see it.
And like I said, I will always argue, and I know we've been repeating this over and over again. I think they're getting the wrong message from why Tampa won their Super Bowl and why the Rams won their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, probably.
I think a lot of teams were thinking we just need a quarterback and then we're guaranteed the Lombardi. No.
Yeah.
You need to have all the positions and players and all the stuff like where Tampa was and where the Rams was.
Yeah.
Like I said, they had the pieces all together. It's just that adding that quarterback helped them win that Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are 4, easy peasy.
This is pretty much easy. And then we got to talk about the Giants. Oh, my
why?
God.
How is this team still not eliminated?
They're not
They
eliminated.
beat the freaking Packers. They beat the Packers. That's why they're here.
Yes, literally the reason. You know, the crazy part is they're ahead of the Bears. The Bears.
Like, I am really confused. Like, I thought this team was eliminated. Like, I really have nothing. I mean, thank you for beating the Packers. Like, I appreciated that. That was wonderful. That's about the only nice thing I have to say about you. Like, your offense is one of the worst I've ever seen. Like, I mean, I just feel really bad for, like, all of Eastern New York because, like, you got to watch the Giants and Jets. Like, thank goodness your state has the Buffalo Bills who are finally turning it on.
Oh my God!
Golly,
and
golly,
so it's tough for the New York media because, like I said, if you're a Giants player or a Jets player, like the New York media, and you just stink like right now, the New York media will just rip you to shreds. They ripped Zach in the shreds. They ripped, you know, and you know what's even the worst part? Tommy DeVito is now out for the season. What are you gonna do now?
Like, I mean, I think there are 2. Like, I'm just gonna say it. I think there are 2.
I honestly think I agree. Granted, I feel like they're in that graveyard of 2. They're not going to win this game. They're not going to come back. They're not good. I feel like this is their season. This season is a 2. They've not been good. They overpaid everybody. They overpaid their players.
Yeah, that's well said.
And
have fun being eliminated next week. Like, thanks for the season. We'll give you a longer eulogy next week. Let's just go on.
I know. Now we got to talk about the other important. Now we got to talk about another embarrassing loss.
Do you know what's really funny about this game? Because we're not even talking about the winning team. Like, that's how embarrassing of a loss this is for you.
Yes, literally.
We don't have the winning team on the slide here because you just lost to Bryce Young and the Panthers.
Oh, I just got to say this, and I know I haven't watched This Week in Sports with the lolcow guy, Urinating Tree. For goodness sake, Urinating Tree guy, please put the Falcons as the lolcow of the week for losing against a Panthers game in a rainy game. Where literally, and funny enough, if you wanted to buy nosebleed tickets, apparently, to this Carolina Panthers game, you could have got it from the low price of 45 cents. High school fast football games were more expensive. They're going to a Carolina Panthers game.
I got ripped off paying $12 to see the Cardinals.
Yes, it should have been $10.
Unreal.
Like, oh my God, this
that's bad.
Like, honestly, and I'm gonna have to say this, and I kind of agree with the Strong Opinion Sports when he was talking about it. If you're a Falcons fan, you want the head coach of the Falcons to not make the playoffs and lose and fire him. He's not a good coach. He's not a good coach.
Yeah. What did we give the Packers? We gave them a 4?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like we need to give them the 3.
Well, yeah, I mean, here's the problem, though. The Falcons beat the Packers head-to-head, but, like, put them at a 3. I don't care.
Yes.
They stink.
They
stink. Get out of here.
Like, get out of here. You lost to the first eliminated person in our eulogy. Our eulogy. We don't even have to talk about the Panthers for 2 weeks. And you lost them?
Stu. I think you got your moxie back. I respect it.
Oh, my God. This is like, this.
All right. Get out of here, Falcons. We're tired of it. You'll be eliminated in a week.
Next week. Let's go.
Let's go. Who do we got? Oh, golly. I'm excited to talk about the Brownies. What a team. What a team. this team represents the city of Cleveland. Just a hard-nosed, hard-hitting football team. Like, no matter what happens, they just find a way to get it done. Like, you go and you sign the 8-year-old Joe Flacco off his couch, and he's out there balling for you. Like, you're sitting there, 9 wins. Like, how unbelievable. Like, I've been jokingly saying that the Browns will make the Super Bowl this year for a long time, but, like, man, oh man, with Joe Flacco, they just might do it. Like, what a fun team. I think I lost you again, Stu, if you're talking. So I wonder why it's so quiet.
Damn it. I'm just going to say this back to what I was saying. If we have the end of the year, like, who's the comeback player of the year, give it to Flacco. 100% give it to Flacco. I honestly wouldn't agree. The comeback of literally came out of the couch and is balling, hasn't had a losing game. Like, that's impressive.
That is impressive.
Like, honestly, wouldn't you agree? Is he the comeback player of the year?
I mean, if they make the nice playoff run and he's their QB, no doubt. No doubt.
Like, I do agree. I honestly feel like this is why it's tough, because it's like, and I'm putting like the top 3 best AFC teams. Definitely the Dolphins. Definitely the Ravens. Should we put the Browns at number 3?
As best AFC?
Yeah.
I mean, they're up there. Like, they are up there. That's for sure.
Like, but it's like tough because I don't want to give them the 8 because, like I said, I mean, I do think they're going to win. I think out of all the wild card teams right now, and if I'm looking at it right now, they got to play against Jackson. They got to play against the Jaguars. They're going to beat the Jaguars. Can they beat the Dolphins at Miami?
No.
No? Gun to your head, no?
I mean, they're still 7. Like, I don't think that they. I don't know. Like, they're just such different football teams. Like, I love when I love when there's a clash of styles. So, like, I don't want to say no, actually, because they could. I mean, I think that the Dolphins are a team that just they want to get into like a running race type of thing where I think the Browns are just going to possess the ball, go slow. Like, they're kind of actually a bad matchup for the Dolphins, I think. Right? Now that I further think about it, like, I still would take the Dolphins if I had to pick, but I think third best team. I think I would probably take the Browns to beat the Chiefs if they were to play tomorrow, like on a neutral field.
Yeah, I feel like they're both really good teams. But yeah, that's gonna be a tough one. But like I said, I think I'm still gonna keep them the 7. I think they're a solid 7. They've done a lot. They have improved. It is crazy to think because preseason I gave them the 5 because I just felt very worried about Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
And I feel like I've been vindicated, and now it's funny to think that now, you know, it'd be crazy if they win the Super Bowl. Let's just say crazy theoretical. They win the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, and they can't keep Joe Flacco next year with the Deshaun contract.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what you do in that situation. That'd be pretty fun, though. I hope for the Browns fans they get to find out.
Yeah, I hope they get to find out. I mean, that would be kind of crazy to think about it, but like I said, good for you, Brownies. You get a solid 7 on that one. I feel
good for you, Brownies.
You have exceeded my expectation. And you know what? You went from like I didn't like this team because of like the whole Deshaun situation to now, you know what? I'm rooting for the Brownies. I want the Brownies to do it. It would be fun. I think honestly it would be a fun
Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks.
I know my one friend has been a diehard Browns fan and has to deal with misery, agony. Jimmy Haslam as their owner. Literally the 0-7 scene.
Yeah. Still, you're talking to a Lions fan. Like we're not feeling bad for the Brownies. Move on.
All righty, that's fine. That's fine. Now we gotta talk about
franchise could, but not us.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's crazy to think because they put a Hail Mary play this Bears game, and then one player almost caught it, but it bounced off. Yep. It literally went from, oh, the Bears might have a playoff chance when he caught it to now we got to blow up the team now and the season's done. One play.
I mean, it's literally crazy how close these games are. Like, I've been doing a little bit of sports betting, and like I have not had more weird bad luck beats than I have had recently, where it's like, I don't know, it makes it a lot of fun. I'm not going to get into that sidetrack. What I will say is I don't think we need to spend long on the Bears. They're 3. We'll be most likely giving them a full eulogy next week. Like, there's really not much to look forward to. Do you keep Justin Fields? I don't know. You guys figure that out. Hopefully you make the right choice.
I
But
feel like, and I was kind of agreeing, and I was just kind of listening to like my sports, like Richard Sherman podcast. I talked about it. I think honestly, if they keep the coach this year, you got to keep Justin Fields.
yeah, I think so. I mean, I think Fields has been. I don't think Fields is your problem necessarily.
Yeah, but I feel like if you get a new coach, then I think it might be the start. And I don't think Fields is the problem. I think if you give him like better weapons and better like ammunition, I feel like Fields can be a good QB. I honestly, I could. Yeah, I just feel
I
like
think so. I mean, him and DJ Moore were fun. So I don't know. Better days are in store, Bears, but you'll probably be getting a eulogy next weekend. Thank you for playing.
Thank you for playing, Bears, but have a nice day. Unfortunately, you're still a threat.
All right.
Now we got to talk about the other game. Unfortunately, we only have to talk about the Patriots, who, good for you, you beat a bad. I'm sorry, you beat the Chiefs. Beat a bad Patriots. The Chiefs beat a bad Patriots team. What was your thought beating them by only 10 points, 27-17?
I mean, it kind of summed up their season. I thought, like, where it's like you can just tell that they're not sharp. Like, it's like the same feeling with the Eagles and the Chiefs that I get, where it's like the pieces are there, but it's just not gelling like last year. You know, like last year both teams just kind of felt special. This year both teams just kind of feel like they're like, I don't know if it's in autopilot mode or like making the Super Bowl for granted or what it is, but it's just sloppy. Like, there's no other word for it. You don't see these kind of mistakes from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes team. Like, Travis Kelce has been a borderline non-factor in some of these games. Like, I don't really have a ton of like my fantasy football game. Like, I could have won if Travis Kelce was just Travis Kelce, but he put up like 5 catches for 28 yards.
That's really bad. I mean, Travis Kelce should be in like the at least 70 to 100 yards per game.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, they still won, so like you can't. But like, they definitely don't raise in my rankings. Like, I don't feel more impressed with the Chiefs than I did yesterday. But they're still the 3 seed.
Now,
like, they're still a team I wouldn't want to play in the playoffs, but like they're still, I don't know.
Yeah, and they would play against the Bengals, but I feel like they're probably going to win a playoff game. I don't think they're going to make it to the NFC, which is crazy because this has been like the team that's been, I think, 5 years in a row, if I'm trying to remember correctly. Yeah, that made it to the AFC Championship.
Well, I mean, and this is going to sound bad, but I feel like they're kind of in. I'm going to compare this to a Packers from like a few years ago, where it's like you're just begging them to get weapons around like a Mahomes and a Rodgers. Because you're like, I mean, granted, like Rodgers had Devontae Adams and Mahomes has Kelce, but it's like, man, oh man, like there's just not that like next playmaker. Like when they had, obviously this won the Super Bowl last year, so like it's not like they're in a dire spot, but you're just like, oh, please don't like waste Patrick Mahomes' prime with like bad players around him.
Yeah,
that is my hope right now.
And I just feel like I don't think this team's going to make the NFC Championship. The AFC.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're a 7. Like I don't think that they would win a road playoff game. I guess that's what I see. So.
Oh no! Did I just pull?
Chiefs.
Did I pull a quiz Collinsworth? if you remember this back in the day, this year, who was the Washington Commanders football team quarterback that passed away? That was our Ohio State guy.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I'm not sure the name though, unfortunately.
Oh, Dwayne Haskins, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so basically Chris Collinsworth, he said like these are the top 5 QBs that are not going to make that's not going to win not going to win a Super Bowl, and he put. I mean, he's not technically he's right, but I think it's in bad taste.
Oh no.
Like
That's really bad taste.
Like that's very morbid.
Yeah, like that's the dark humor that I guess. I mean, I don't know. All right, that's wild.
I know. That's how I felt when I did the NFC. Like, hey, at least as someone that's part of this terrible YouTube podcast channel, we will at least admit our mistakes, unlike ESPN.
Yeah, no, that's pretty rough.
Yes.
All right, well, let's get on to the next one, which I think is our easiest one to date.
Oh my God, the 49ers? Like, let's just talk about let's be honest. Yeah.
I mean, it's just going to be more praise for them. I mean, there's really nothing. I mean, you would like to see them not give up 29 points, I guess, but like, it's a game that they were just so in control of that you really didn't care.
Yeah.
Where you're like the whole time they're up by 2 scores. I mean, like they controlled the game. I mean, it was closer than we thought it'd be in the first half. Like Kyler's back though, so you're kind of like, okay. I mean, it was just a solid game. Brock Purdy might win the MVP or Christian McCaffrey. I mean just clearly the best team in football. Like
I honestly think this team is going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I sure as heck don't have confidence that the Lions could beat them.
No, I don't think and I hate to say it, I don't think the Lions are going to beat them. I don't think the Cowboys are going to beat them. Eagles are definitely not going to beat them. Like all 3 of those, like they got dismantled by the 49ers. Yeah. They weren't even close games. That's the
thing. Like they're just, I just keep getting more and more confused in how they lost those games earlier in the year.
I honestly think that they probably had that bad slump, and then I think it's like one of those teams where it's like, all right, this is the time where we're either going to move up or we're about to go down. And also, I think a couple of their weapons like got injured. I think Nick Bosa got injured like that time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
you're right. I think like some of the receivers are banged up too. So either way, best team in football.
I honestly think this is the best team in football, and I'm going to be honest with you. When we're going to do, like I said, Douglas, we're going to probably do the game recap for the 2 teams that are going to make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think we're probably going to do one game recap on the San Francisco 49ers. I think for finally.
Yeah. I mean, I like everything that's going on there. I'll say that. Like I think that this is one of the most dominant teams I can remember in recent years.
Mm-hmm. Like so, honestly,
good for you.
Is this the most dominant since the Patriots, the 08 Patriots?
I mean, that's hard to say because there's been some really dominant teams, but they're definitely up there. Like this team doesn't really have a weakness that I see, so they're good job.
I honestly don't see any weakness in any of the teams, and unless something gets injured or we have the injury bug that hits the 49ers, I think if they're 100% healthy, I think they're gonna win. I think they're gonna make the playoffs easily.
Well, I think they're gonna. Yeah,
I think they're gonna decide. I don't think. Will they lose Will they have a close game?
I mean, I don't know. Who do they play? I mean, they play the Ravens this week, so yeah.
Yeah, and that could be the Super Bowl matchup right there. Is the Ravens versus 49ers?
Yeah, no, this could be a preview for sure.
Yeah,
so that'll be a fun one.
It's gonna be a fun one, and I think they're gonna get the number 1 seed. So congratulations, 49ers. You get that 9. Like I said last year, they're guaranteed the spot to make the playoffs, but I think I'm honestly going to say I think they're guaranteed the number 1 seed in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, I mean, they own every tiebreaker, so cool. Let's move on.
Now we got to talk about the Rammies. Mm-hmm. We don't have to talk about one team. The Rammies sort of defeating the Commanders, even though they had a decisive lead at 13-0, and then they kind of like actually they had a lead of 20-0, and then they kind of like came back, but they still won it. So How do you feel about the Rams?
Like, I mean, I think I said this already once in this episode here. They're a scary team right now. I mean, they're a team that if they kind of figure it out, I mean, they have obviously a Super Bowl winning quarterback. They have the Triple Crown winner, Cooper Kupp, finally getting healthy. Like their like rookie running back is just unbelievably explosive. They got Aaron Donald still. They're a team that if they make the playoffs, I wouldn't want to see them. Like I think
Yeah.
that they feel like a solid 6 to me right now. Like they're technically the 7th seed. Like I don't necessarily think I would take them to win a game, but if they're matched up with like if they somehow got to climb to match, well, they won't get there. I was gonna say if they got to match up with Tampa Bay, they might win one, but do I
Yeah.
realistically think that they would beat Dallas or Detroit? Not realistically, but you never know.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to beat I mean, they would play against the Cowboys. So they're technically in the playoffs. And I will always say it, if I had to pick, if we were NFL committee teams, if I wanted the 3 teams in the wild card, I want the Eagles in the wild card right now.
Yep.
I honestly would probably want the Rams and the Seahawks right now because I feel like that would be more fun. Like,
I
who would
agree.
want more fun? And you know what I think would be more fun?
Hmm.
And let's just say this is football script writers.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. What if the Rams get the 6th seed and Stafford has to go to Detroit?
I mean, that's what I'm hoping for. Like that'd be fun. I would enjoy that.
And you know what would be a much more agonizing loss for the Lions? You lost to the Rams.
Yeah, that would be. But hey, I won't hate on Stafford. I think they're a 6 though.
I think honestly, since since they are in the playoffs right now, I mean theoretical playoffs, I honestly feel like that they're 6, and I honestly will say I think the Rams are probably going to make the playoffs. I honestly do think they're going to win. I think they're going to make the playoffs. They're improving. They're looking a lot better. They're exceeding my expectations since last year. I thought they gave up everything for that Super Bowl ring,
Yep.
and now I feel like they're doing a lot better. And I feel like I think this year is probably showing why they won that Super Bowl a couple years ago, and why
Yep.
Stafford won that ring. So
No,
good
no
for you,
doubt.
Randy.
All right. Good for you.
Now we got to talk about why we got to talk about this game, Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Well, let's just make this one quick, Stu, because we're already running late. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten dinner yet. So
all right,
let's keep these last couple quick. The
all right.
Buffalo Bills, they are right now Las Vegas's biggest threat to a big payday because they got really bad Super Bowl odds at 40 to 1, and now they're all the way back up to 12 to 1 because of just how dominant they are looking again. I mean, this feels like a team. I think that they're a solid 6, still a potential, very strong potential for a 7 or even an 8.
Oh, but that's a good question because to put it this way, the Bills are still the 9th seed in the playoffs, right? They're in the 9th seed, so they would still not make the playoffs right now.
Well, I mean, and
But
that's the thing though. Like, I think that they do. I mean, there's no way that they don't.
like,
Well, there is a way that they don't, but
yeah. So I feel like, I mean, the Bills pretty much have an easy way to win this one because they only have to play against the Chargers, the Patriots, and the Dolphins.
well, so I mean, worst case they're 10-7, and I mean a 10-7 Bills team is gonna make it over. Like, let me pull it up. Like, there's no way that to me that all these other teams in front of them go 2-3 as well. Like, some of these teams play each other. Like, there's just a lot going on here too, and then I don't know. I mean, I think that there's still. You know what's crazy to me though? Genuinely, a strong possibility still is that Buffalo wins their division.
And that would be crazy because if you think about it, because I'm looking at the Colts. The Colts have an easy schedule to go. The Bengals have like a tough road ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Houston has a tough road ahead. The Bills have the easiest road ahead of making the playoffs right now.
Well, and that's why I think that they're a 6. I mean, just everything about them indicates team that's going to make a deep run here, and they have like one of the highest point differentials in the NFL. They have a winning record. They have back-to-back big-time wins. They should have beaten the Eagles as well. So if they had beaten the Eagles 3 weeks ago, they'd be a team that'd be sitting there, and we'd all be talking about like maybe they're an 8.
Yeah, and I think
So, I mean,
they have those couple bad losses, and I feel like, and you've been talking about it that they've been disappointed. I guess you're not disappointed this week on the Bills.
no, I'm not. Like I'm actually like I went in like 2 weeks. I went from man, their season might be done. They have to play against the Chiefs and the Cowboys in back-to-back weeks and then go to the Chargers, to holy guacamole, this is a team that's going to win 4 or 5 games in a row to end the season. And who wants to play the Bills if they go on this winning streak? Like, the fact that they could go from being 6-6 to potential division champs, and unbelievable. I love what the Bills are doing. In all honesty, like, they're the team that I would not be shocked in the slightest to make it to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. Yup, we lost you, Stu. So,
Sorry,
they're good.
but my opinion, back to what I was saying, I feel like this Buffalo team is looking a lot better. They're looking a lot more improving. They're looking really good. I think this team is definitely could be that Super Bowl caliber team. And I feel like there's a lot more, like I said, there's a lot more parity in the AFC. They can sneak in. I think even if they make the 7th seed, I think they could be the first 7 seed to win a playoff game.
Well, I mean, I would pick them to possibly beat anybody in the AFC except the Ravens. I mean, if they go and they beat Miami again, because they already beat them once, they win their division, they're the 2 or the 3 seed somehow still, they could still be like the 2 seed. If they sneak into like being 11, because they would be, if they got to 11-6, then like they have a head-to-head tiebreaker over Kansas City. So Kansas City, they could potentially lose one of their games. Granted, they don't play a hard schedule, but they could potentially end up as the number 2 seed, all the way from being like the 11 or 12 seed. Like,
it is so crazy to think about that. That is so crazy. So I think you agree with them, even though they're not theoretically in the playoffs. I'm going to give them the 6 because I think they will be in the playoffs. We got to give the Buffalo Bills a 6, and then
let's just get it over with, Stu. We know that the Cowboys are dropping to at least a 7. They're a 7.
Why?
I genuinely think, and you might not agree with me on this take. I think the Eagles, Cowboys, and Lions are literally, like, if you rolled a dice, all 3 of them would have an equal shot at making the championship game. I think it's going to depend on seeding, whoever gets the home games, because, I mean, we saw Dallas and Philly both win their home games against each other. We'll see the Lions go to Dallas. Like, if the Cowboys win at home, then we could see that home field advantage matters. And I think that if Dallas had to go up to Detroit, the Lions would have a good chance at winning after seeing how great they played this week. Like, I genuinely think those 3 teams, I think it's the 49ers, and then I think it's the Cowboys, Eagles, and Lions all on the exact same pedestal. Where it's like one of them is going to make it. Like, who's going to be the loser to San Francisco is basically what they're playing for.
It's just been a terrible game. I was like, it was bad. I had to stop watching it because it was just like we were just like getting our butts whooped.
Yeah, no, it was hard to watch. We won't sugarcoat it. It was rough.
It was rough. Like, it was bad offense.
Well, and like, I think the concern for me, for one, is how much different the Cowboys are on the road versus at home. So like that home field advantage was huge. And like just seeing them, though, like when they play good teams, they suck.
Yes.
Like, they're not even like competitive. Like, what the hell? like I thought this was going to be such a good game. Like, I was so excited for this game, and then I was just like, really? Dallas, like, how are you going to do us like this a week after that emotional win, and this is what you give us? Like, I was mad for Cowboys fans. Like, that was embarrassing.
Thank you, as a Cowboys fan. That was the biggest lay of an egg tease that I felt after losing badly to the Bills and getting annihilated, and just feel like that everything was a fluke and we can't win on the road. And it's just like, like, it's so frustrating because I feel like we're back to the same old Cowboys. Are we just going to lose to the 49ers again in the second round? Am I doing deja vu again? Is this Men in Black?
Probably.
Is Dak going to do a bad? It's going to make we're going to lose by like 1 less than a touchdown. And then it's just going to be like the same thing again where they make a mistake and then lose. You know how many times I got to get trolled at by that Zeke last play as a Cowboys fan?
Yeah. Well, better luck next week, I guess. I don't know.
Now, I
I
guess
don't have a lot to say. I mean, the Cowboys, I mean, it was just embarrassing. Like, they got outplayed. Like, it wasn't even as close as the score showed either because, like, the Cowboys literally were still playing their starters for some reason late in the fourth quarter after the Bills pulled everyone and Dak got a late bullshit touchdown. Like, yay, you got a touchdown. Like, you didn't, no.
one in garbage
Like, they were
time.
down 31-3 in the fourth quarter, and the Bills just stopped trying.
Yeah,
So,
this is probably the most ugliest, worst. Is this worse than the San Francisco loss?
um, that's about the same for me. Like
Yeah,
both were just like opportunities to like prove yourselves, and you just didn't. So
yeah.
I feel just as deflated as I did from that one. So
I think honestly, Douglas, I'm going to give them the 7. I think they're just. I think
I definitely wouldn't pick them to win the NFC. I don't know. Yeah, 7's good. Let's move on to the Ravens.
Yes, because I'm really like we got to talk about a really fun game. We got to talk about the Ravens. Oh,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts about the Ravens like annihilating the Jacksonville Jaguars, 23-7?
I mean, my immediate thought is probably the second best team in football. Like, holy guacamole, what a Monday night game we get with the Ravens versus the 49ers. Like, I don't ever remember a bigger game. Like, well, I mean, I'm sure there have been, but like in week 16 on Monday night, prime time game on Christmas Day, Merry Christmas, Stu. We get 2-11-3 teams.
Yes, like these could be the 2 Super Bowl teams right now.
I mean,
And
they're the 2 Super Bowl favorites, I would say. Like, 2
yeah,
home teams that are most likely to get home field advantage, the 2 best records in the NFL, the 2 best defenses. Like, the list could go on and on. Like, just incredible.
and honestly, Lamar is probably playing the best of his career right now because I
Yeah.
feel like the last couple times when Lamar, has been the quarterback of the Ravens, it's either they were like, they've been good, but then they like choke it away. I feel like this is a different Baltimore.
Yeah. No, I mean, this feels like just the most thoroughly built team. Like, they don't really throw it a ton, but like they have good wide receivers. Lamar's playing good. The whole team's just playing great. Like, they have I think their defense is literally second best to the 49ers. Like, I am unbelievably excited for that game.
I'm
Like,
unbelievably excited. Now, this is a
like
good question. Oh yeah, sorry, you go first.
no, you asked the question.
Now, this is a good question. We should talk about it. The ratings.
Mm-hmm.
Should we give the Ravens the 9?
I don't think so. Not in this moment. And here's my logic. In week 17, they play the Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
If they beat the Dolphins and the 49ers, an absolute lock for a 9.
Yes.
But if they go out and they get blown out by the 49ers this weekend, then all of a sudden I'm not as excited about them as a 9. Like, if they go and beat the 49ers, even 9.
Oh yes.
If you win in San Fran, easy peasy, you can be a 9 in my rankings.
Yes.
But their upcoming schedule is just brutal.
Yeah, I think they still have a tough schedule. Also, I will say the Ravens and the Cowboys clinched. They are automatically going to make it to the playoffs right now. So the Ravens are the only team that's clinched it so far.
Good for them. Well,
and if I'm looking at their schedule right now, they got to play against the 49ers, the Dolphins, and then the Steelers, but they only have 2 tough games.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of convinced me, Douglas. I think they're still a solid 8. I think this team is definitely going to make it to the NFC Championship, as long as Lamar doesn't do like the choke towards the end. But I feel like I don't feel like this team's going to choke. I don't think this team is going to choke. This is a much more better than 2021, 2022, 2020 Baltimore. Well,
I think they're just built for a playoff run too, just the way that they play. So good for you. Well earned 8.
Look at that. And now we talked about one positive. We've been glowing and been nice to the Ravens. Now we got to be mean to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh my God. You laid an egg. And I think the worst one was when you literally at 1 minute left try to like go to the end zone to get a touchdown and you blew it.
Yeah. Yeah, what a roller coaster of a season. Because like I just like look at they've lost 3 in a row now. But like
Wow.
granted, they still lead their division, so I mean they still feel like a 6. But they would play the Brownies,
And
a
they're
team
not.
that they just lost to 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't think they can be a 7 because they just lost to the Browns, and that's who they'd play in the playoffs. So it's like I think just by default this team is like a disappointing 6, but they might lose their division even. So like I think a 6 just feels super fair and just like keep it easy for them.
Yeah, I think for right now, we got to give them the 6. I don't think this team is going to win a playoff game. I think they still have a shot of making the play.
Well, I
How?
mean, their schedule's easy to go down the stretch for them. So, like, thankfully for them, they might get to, like, still win their division because they get to play the Panthers. At the Buccaneers is a tough one, though. That's a big time game.
And the tough part is, to be fair, they're literally tied with Indianapolis and Houston right now. They have the same record. All three of them have an 8-6 record.
No, exactly. And that's why I'm like, I think that they're just a solid 6. I mean, if they win their division, they might win a home playoff game. I don't have a lot of confidence in them right now, though. So,
Yeah.
All right, we're getting up there. So let's just go into the last one. You can get your like last little boast in here as we go on.
Oh, it's going to be so glorious.
Let's do it.
Oh, I'm so happy. Look at that. Go Seahawks. Let's go. Because they just defeated them Eagles. And now I get to say 2 words. Cry, Eagles, cry. Because the Cowboys are still the 2nd seed in the division right now.
Yeah, I guess that was a big outcome. And that's what's kind of exciting here too about this Detroit Dallas game is that game could potentially now come up for a number 2 seed. Potentially there's a sliver of a hope for a 1 seed even, probably more for Detroit than San Francisco just because they didn't lose to the 49ers, but lots to play for. But let's not get distracted. I'm sorry, Seahawks, I'm taking away from your moment.
I
Congratulations.
know. You had Drew Lock that balled, backup QB and balled and beat the Eagles with a deficit, and they came back. They were literally behind by a touchdown and then came back and won it in the 4th quarter.
No, yeah, that was fantastic.
With 28 seconds left, and they scored a TD. That was the most amazing game. That was probably my favorite game of the week, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah, no, it was up there for sure. It was a good one because I kind of had given up on the game because I mean the Eagles kind of controlled it all game, but then like we talked about the Chiefs earlier, they were just sloppy and Seattle took advantage. Good for them. Like I think the Seahawks, they're a hard team to rate right now for me. I mean, if they would have lost this game, they're a lot easier to rate. I can't talk. They're a lot easier to rate. But because of that, like now I'm like, man, like you're kind of a borderline playoff team. You're technically sitting outside of it.
Yeah, they are literally 1 game between the Vikings and the Rams. And if I'm looking at the Seahawks, they have an easier road schedule. They have the easiest road to make it to the playoffs. They got to play against the Titans, the Steelers, the Cardinals.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, this might have been the game that saved their season. Like, if I had to take a guess, I mean, I would pick them to make the playoffs personally. That being said, like, I don't know if I feel confident giving them a 6. Like, I think it's a bit of a coin flip.
Because they have been, the only problem is they have laid some eggs. They laid some eggs on some bad teams. Like, they did lose to they did lose to. Actually, they haven't laid an egg, but I think they haven't laid any eggs on bad teams. They just can't beat the good teams, and this is finally the one where they beat the good team.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think that's the thing, and but I also think about how I don't feel confident that they can necessarily win at Pittsburgh. Like I don't necessarily feel confident that they can even beat the Arizona Cardinals, because I'm like, granted, like they should, but like the Cardinals are playing a little bit better, and it's in Arizona, so I don't know. I think that they're still a 5 for me. Like you're really close, but like I don't think you quite you win another game or two. We'll discuss.
Yeah, that's how I kind of feel. Like I feel like the Seahawks are still that 5 for right now. I don't think they're going to go higher because they're still a borderline playoff team, and they could lay an egg. But I think the one advantage that I will say the Seahawks, they've never lost a bad team this season.
Yeah.
They've not had one loss. Even though I did say that earlier, I did look it up. They did not.
Well, and like they played some good teams well too. I mean, they played the Cowboys well. They beat the Lions. Like they're a team that if they make it, you don't necessarily want to play them, but like I'm also not like scared of them. It's kind of a weird team, so they feel like a 5.
Yeah,
All
and
right,
I will always.
let's get on to the Eagles too. Get your last
Uh,
road stand and let's get out of here.
oh yes. Oh my God. The cry Eagles cry. Oh, and you know what the crazy part was? Guess who they decided? The Eagles. When I was listening on Sunday, who did they decide to have as defensive coordinator for the Eagles? Do you
Oh, I
know?
know. Oh, I know.
Mr.
Mr. Matt
Patricia.
at Patricia.
Yes, your favorite Lions coach of all time.
That brought
Uh,
back some Lions memories right there. A nice little fourth quarter choke job, you know?
yes, that
Yeah.
feels like a Lions. That feels like a lot. This is like 2019, 2020 Lions. This
Yeah.
Eagles team.
You know, it's like there's something just bred in your DNA once you get into Detroit. You just don't know how to win the big games. It's unbelievable.
No, you cannot win those big games. They just look really, really bad. Like, okay, so let's just talk about the Eagles. So far, the Eagles for right now have lost 3 games in a row. They lost the 49ers badly, the Cowboys badly, and they had a lead and blew it against Seattle. How are you feeling about the Eagles right now?
I mean, I feel like this is why I kind of compare them to the Lions and the Cowboys. Because I feel like all 3 of those teams are like they almost feel like pretenders to me, and like that breaks my heart as a huge Lions fan. But I feel like there's those teams that like, and I made this comparison before, but since they're from Philadelphia, they feel a lot like Penn State, where it's like, yay, you beat up on, whatever, you beat up on Maryland, whatever, yay, you did it. But go beat Michigan and Ohio State. Go win that big game. And
Mm-hmm.
this is not a team that I'm like, oh yeah, they could go beat Phil or they could go beat the 49ers. Like
No.
I feel like this is a team that like when they play their best, they can beat a lot of teams, but like I don't feel like super excited like I did last year, like they're gonna make a run. So
And I felt like, and this was my complaint in the regular season earlier in the season when we were talking about it, Douglas, and this is my biggest complaint about it. I'm trying to get my biased Eagle hatred. I'm going to try to let it go.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I said the biggest problem I felt like with Philly was they were barely beating bad teams? They weren't dominant. They were barely beating bad teams. Like the only game right now where they dominated, and I'm looking at it right now, like in the regular season, they barely beat the Patriots, they sort of beat the Vikings, beat the Buccaneers a little bit, barely beat the Commanders twice, 3 points and 7 points.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying though. Like I guess they just feel. I mean, the only difference between them and the Cowboys is the Cowboys destroy the bad teams. The Eagles just win. But I mean, against each other, I mean, they split the series 1-1. Like you feel like the same team. Like
Yeah.
you feel like where I'm like at your best, your quarterback's MVP candidate. At your worst, you get blown out by good teams. And like I mean, that feels like the Lions too. Like they got blown out by the Ravens. Like yeah, they've had some nice wins, but like also when you had your biggest moments, you lost. So I'm like, they're all the same. One of them will ultimately get the honor of losing to San Francisco in the NFC Championship.
Yeah. And I feel like, I hate to say it. Do you think so? The Eagles have the easiest schedule of anybody in the playoffs. So granted, I should say this: Eagles made the playoffs no matter what. They're gonna probably make the playoffs. They only got to play against the Giants, Cardinals, and Giants again.
Yeah.
They're gonna win the next 3 games, right? Right?
I mean,
They're not gonna do a choke job in one of these, right?
I don't think so. I mean, that's what's so hard as like just looking at the Cowboys side of things is like as beautiful of a season as it's been, the Eagles are still going to win the division.
Yeah.
Like, like it kind of sucks to say it, but like I think the Cowboys still play the Lions, the Dolphins, and someone else, and the Giants maybe, I don't know. But like the Cowboys, I'm just like, it's been a wonderful season. It kind of stinks that, unless Philly chokes away another big game, you're probably going to be the 5 seed. Which might not be bad though. You can go beat up on Baker Mayfield or something.
Yeah, but then you got to play in San Francisco, and that's like, oh God, no, you're giving me PTSD. No, Douglas, no. I don't want to lose to them closely or badly. I want to beat the 49ers. Why?
Yeah, what a shame. But I still haven't eaten, Stu, so I think.
But I should say, we're going to keep the Eagles at a 7. I think they're still going to, even if they do make it to the wild card, I think they can beat the Buccaneers.
Yep, I think so. I think they're still a solid 7. They'll still win a playoff game, but they're just not quite going to get over that hump.
All right. So, like I said, I know we're talking so much long because I like to say it. I guess we'll do what do we thoughts for on week 16? Who are you going to put some stock options on?
All right, I'm going to make this quick. Give me the Bills for some stocks. And I think that'll be my main one. Just go me all in on the Bills. Sell a lot of the. Let's see here.
I
think that's it. I don't know if we'll sell anybody because we're feeling pretty good with our predictions. So I want some Bill stock. Give me some Bills.
Yeah, either give me the Bill stock. I feel like I'm trying to think who would be also a good one. I feel like a good stock if I would like to put maybe Browns. Maybe I could put the Brownie. No, they're at a 7. That's the only problem. I feel like the only one I could think of that it probably would be the Bills. Maybe I would say the Saints.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one I feel like I feel confident, and I feel like it's not going to change anything. Is probably the Bills, to be honest with you.
Well, good deal, Stusiv. Fun week. Long conversation, but enjoyed it.
I know. 2-hour conversation. Can you believe it? I thought these were going to get easier when we cut teams, not longer.
Yeah. I'm tired.
I'm tired
It's almost
too.
9 o'clock here.
But
I think I'm good, Stu. I will catch you next time.
All righty, guys. I will catch you later. So we'll see you next weekend where we're going to talk about our December madness. Who's going to win playoffs? So
let's do it.
I'll catch you later, Mr. Gators.